we are on day 6. One more day left. That's just amazing to me. These days go by so quickly. It's phenomenal. I think because I just love it so much. So thank you all for being here. And I'm going to immediately just kind of pop in and introduce. We have Sizzle, Susanna. I call her Sizzle, but I'll let her properly introduce herself as she likes to be seen and heard. And then we'll kind of share with you what it is that we're going to do today. We'll give you a quick overview of some things, and then we'll drop in and do our breathing and our Om together. And Sizzle, tell us, why are you here? What is it that you're so passionate about? I'm going to sip on my tea, and then we'll talk about setting our morning space, because all I've done is flip on my fireplace, light one candle, make some tea, and I'm still in my PJs. So I thought I'd really be in our habits. And
yes, good morning. Good morning, Somah. I want to encourage us to go ahead and drop in. If we want to start rubbing our feet, we can. I know I will be. And yes, I am here really for community and connection, a big topic of our day. For the past 11 months, I've been traveling with my husband and his new career. And I tell myself I've had my soulmate client the past 11 months, that being myself. So I am an entrepreneur coming from a doula background and family services, Reiki practitioner, and a beloved Sattva yogini from Somah's affirmative yoga teacher training now from 2019. That was right before the pandemic. So glad I jumped in when I did to have all of these beautiful tools of consciousness and evolution during these past couple of years. So lifelong learner, and I'm here for connection and to share my wisdom. I go by Sizzle. My name is Susanna. I'm originally from Kentucky, but I've lived in Connecticut and Colorado, and I'm currently in New Mexico.
I love that. Thank you so much. And we kind of went back to speaker so you could do that. I'm going to quickly, while you talk, let's go ahead and share the screen to the foot reflexology so people can become familiar with that yet one more time. I know you all were given your documents, but that's what that looks like. And we'll share that. I have my oil this morning. Again, I just love my almond oil with the grapefruit in it. And again, the piece of earth, because it's a fantastic grounding oil for me. So as I get into rubbing my feet, I'm going to let you share a little bit. You say you're your perfect client because of preparing for becoming a mom. You want to be a mom, and you've been taking all these mothers through pregnancy and preparing them. And why, how does that relate to meditation and setting your habits?
Totally. So yes, for the past 17 years, I have worked with families in one way or another. And so I have gained so much insight, wisdom, and knowledge on what to do and what not to do. I mean, just this huge transformation that women and men go through when they decide to start a family. So what it's opened up for me is releasing a lot of stories, right? Like releasing a lot of other people's stories. I mean, I can't say that enough.
I'm going to just jump in and ask you really quick while you're talking about that. Do you think, because people might be, okay, like me, I'm 54 years old, my children are all grown, how would I relate to this? Do you think that prepping to become pregnant or helping other people, you said you help a lot of people start a family. Do you think it's any different than if a person were to be starting a new job or wanting to move? Do you think transition is transition? I kind of,
yeah, I mean,
like what you're saying, everything you're about to say, my partner and I'm going through a struggle with my business and trying to make some shifts. And he shifted his job, and he went from working for a company to now working for a contract and doing some things. Not sure that he's in that. That might be the same philosophy as somebody who's trying to start a family, because we all have stories of what brought us to that point or why we want to make that shift.
I totally agree to some extent. Like there's transitions in life, a move, a job, and then there's transformations, right? And when we're starting a family, that is a level of initiation, a rite of passage, and a transformation that we are opening up, and we're receiving that. And what I love about setting your habits is, your mentality turns into your reality. So we make choices every day, thousands of choices, conscious and unconscious. And oftentimes the unconscious choices have just as much power as our conscious choices. So I want to encourage us, right, to look at those. What is serving us, right? Our day to day. How are we just honoring ourselves in our food and our drink and our thoughts and our mood? All of that is a choice. And oftentimes we get so stuck in the habit of just doing things unconsciously. But in all reality, we have the power. And if we desire to live a different way, if we desire to make changes, we have to dig in and find where's that coming from, right? And I've been doing the doula path now for 7 years, where I'm really concentrating on the childbirth continuum. And the beginning of 2021 or 2022 now, it was just a year ago, my clients started drying up. It was the pandemic, different expectations. People were becoming more protective of their space. I totally understand.
I'm switching to my other foot, by the way, everybody.
What?
So I'm switching to my other foot as I'm listening.
I'm keeping I've been going back and forth this whole time. I love the chart here. I'm really on the heart and the lung right now.
Me too. I was doing my lung and my stomach and my I was on my right foot. Now I'm on my left foot. So I'm gonna go.
And the spine is really big for me. I have a big arch in my feet, so I love hitting up that spine all up and down.
Well, you were talking about food, and I think that food does affect our moods way more than people are willing to even look at. And I think that we think, hey, it's fun to go out and get donuts in the morning, or it's fun to make comfort food. And I think that there is truth in that. But really, I think the big argument is life is finding the balance. Which side of the pendulum are we on? And we were talking about emotions and community just before we popped on. And I was saying how I know that even my partner and I sometimes see frustration or anger differently based on how we were raised. And he sees the tenacity of an athlete and the aggression of that, and that's hard work. And sometimes I see that as a projection of insecure ego, or he'll see my high emotion of trying to get something done as me seeing it as productive, and he feels that it's very distracting and it's preventing me from doing something. So it's interesting how we can have our own food habits that on one person it's, hey, this is a happy-go-lucky thing, it's making me feel good this morning, I'm just enjoying it, versus no, this is actually preventing my gut line from feeding my brain proper nutrients. So how do you know what side of the pendulum to be on, when to express anger, when to express frustration, when to eat comfort food, and when to steer the ship and go straight ahead?
Yeah, I was talking to a dietitian last week in Durango. We took a little trip to Durango for the weekend, and she said, if you're gonna have any type of like dessert or anything, have fun and love every single bite of it, right? But we're also adults, so you need to make responsible choices. And I love that, because the kids were all having ice cream, and someone made a comment, a woman, made a comment about, ooh, I want ice cream, but I shouldn't do that, and it's like, why not? Go for it if you want it. But make your responsible choice, like our moment to moment decisions weave the picture and the tapestry of our life, moment to moment, Mm-hmm. And going back to my path of like where I am in my preconception time of motherhood, I just had this calling of like, it's time to turn all that into my own experience. It's time to go through this initiation on myself, right? With my partner and my family. And furthermore, I've had this spiritual calling to just be my highest self before pregnancy. And that has been, the hardest job is working on yourself, right? So looking at my moment to moment choices and those little decisions that really are the defining moments that determine the energy and that determine our whole entire life.
Amazing. Amazing. How do you find that when, okay, you're trying to set your habits, you're out on the road traveling, you're looking at trying to get pregnant, your husband is working a lot, you don't have friends local. We are in a new era now since the pandemic of being able to, this is that you and I can have, you know, conversations, whether it's virtual, whether it's on the phone, whether it's video. But how does setting your habits become really important in an environment? And I'm going to go ahead and take down the chart at this point. I'm going to bring us back to gallery to keep it in a conversation. And then let's kind of keep going through the body if we want to do some
Yes.
navel grinds, things like that. How do you keep community? How do you do that?
It's been quite hard, you know, to create community. We're really on 13-week assignments, and it's been harder, but it's not impossible.
Of course.
And so I've really started to change my mindset around community being common unity, and how can I create that, you know, within? How can I be okay with being alone, really? And
I don't think many people deal well with being alone. I think they have to be on the phone. They have to have the TV in front of them. They have to have.
So I've watched myself.
Yeah.
I've watched myself.
You thought you were really good at being alone before this all started. And then you were probably shocked by, whoa, I'm feeling lonely. I mean, was that?
It's definitely strengthened my marriage and my bond with my fur babies. I have 2 golden retrievers living with us.
Navel grinds while Sizzle's talking.
And luckily here in New Mexico, we connected with some friends that we met from a Rocky Grass Bluegrass Festival years ago. We connected with them, and now we've parked our RV on their property. And so there is a small sense of community here with our beloved friends. And that's been a huge eye opener to like, wow, you know, that's why we went to that festival that year. Or, you know, like, why do you go to festivals, right? For music and community. And so it's been a huge transition of friendships, really. And like, who is interested in my life now on the road? Who does touch base? And like, but going back to having that like strength within, you know, of what are my attitudes and goals and values in life. And now I find myself even more protective of the energy I surround myself with.
Love that. And I'm going to just jump in. So I'm going to do a couple more in this direction, and then I'm going to sit up tall. It's one of my favorite things about doing these navel grinds. And I do love to do workouts like this and listen to a podcast or some sort of wisdom in the morning. So 2 circles, and then sit up tall for a second and close your eyes. And just see if you can notice the sensations from doing those navel grinds, or what we call sufi circles. And then go the other direction. I think listening to morning wisdom while moving your body is a very powerful habit to have, because we're not always in the mood to get up and go for a run, or to do an hour-long yoga class, or to sit and meditate. And so sometimes giving our brain something to do, especially if we're feeling lonely, or if we're feeling maybe frustrated. Again, coming as an athlete, I get so frustrated so quickly because I've been taught to use my emotions to go after what I want, and to use that firepower. But I feel like it's backfired many times. And so I love listening to you right now while I'm moving my body and I'm stretching. And I feel like literally we get stuck. And when you move your body, you release old thoughts. You were saying, I have to go back and look at my mind and watch myself and see how I respond. And I think that we can see that more easily when we move. Like when I go to a quiet yoga class and I'm watching all the thoughts come through, it's amazing. I'm gonna do one more circle and then I'm gonna close my eyes. Because I like that feeling. It's like Phoebe on Friends when you stand up really fast. It's like, whoa, I love that feeling of the emotions. So continue. Let's do some spinal flexions.
Okay.
So go on like the front shin, and we'll do about 15, and then bring your hands onto both knees and do another 15. So inhale when the heart comes forward, and exhale when you push back. So you did the 31 days with Tommy. We both did together. How did that affect you while you were out on the road? How has that affected your preparation for this next venture in life? How did that affect your relationship with your husband?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So Tommy Rosen has a Recovery 2.0 yoga series, and he, just like Somah, emphasizes the importance of a morning practice, how you start your day, right? Because the power of choosing to shift your energy first thing, coming out of that dream state. And for me, it really highlighted again, moving the body first thing in these beautiful, profound ways that have been passed down to us from yoginis around the world, you know, and it shifted my patterns, you know, internally.
How? Give me an example. I'm going to kind of stop and sit for a moment and listen to you. How did it shift your pattern? Give me one example.
Just the first hour of my day, how I was choosing to spend it. And as a person interested in yoga and a Reiki practitioner, I was always conscious of the first 90 minutes or even 2 hours of my day, you know, getting out into nature, having water, scraping my tongue, doing oral hygiene, moving my spine. But I think
there are a lot of people that still wake up and flip the TV on right away, first thing,
or get online or check their email.
What do you think
technologies
that does to a person? What is your quote unquote? These are only our opinions, our judgments, our positions of awareness. What do you think that does to a person?
Yeah, when you're harnessing your energy externally instead of internally, it's going to make you more reactive to everything and absorb everything in a different way. You know, instead of choosing to, you know, live in peace and start your day internally, even if it is riding or moving your body or just connecting with your family, your just internal space, right? Like, which we have to protect now. It's the age of information. We can get lost in the streams of information in the world. Sure. So we have to have a strong boundary there. And you're not as reactive to it. You have more sense of, I am a beautiful soul in my body. I choose to let go and live in peace instead of that fear, anger, which can be very habitual and addictive in itself.
So when we do our morning practices, one of the things that I've really tried to remind everybody at the end, especially, is to really come to that space of recognizing that every morning is a choice. And every choice has a consequence. So whether that consequence is, I'm going to do my morning practice now, I'm going to be later than what I wanted. I'm not going to do morning practice now, I might be more scattered than I wanted. I'm going to grab some quick grab and go breakfast, and therefore my digestion might not feel as good, or I'm going to take some extra time and make myself a smoothie. Therefore, I might be running a little bit differently on my timing, but my belly. So every choice has a consequence, and a consequence doesn't always necessarily mean something bad. Do you feel that that choice is reflective in your community? You know, I have that say, show me who your friends are, show you who you are.
It does. You know, I mean, just because we've reconnected and you want
ultimately an accountability that you and I have that I just love. I love to tell you about I'll just say it, shitty things that go on in my life, things that are crazy and all jacked up, because there's a sense of accountability I have to that story. You're not there judging me. but I have to be accountable to my own actions in my story. I like that.
I do too. And accountability creates connection and vulnerability and trust.
Do
And
you
so
think
I
that's
think
a habit? For sure.
what?
I said, do you think that's a habit?
Yeah, it can be.
One of the things I was reading before we jumped on, and I'm just going to really quick and go back to what you're saying. Anger can easily be our go-to emotion. And to remedy this, start noticing when and why you get angry. Anger can be a powerful ally since it's filled with energy that we can harness, and it can be a very effective cleanser. However, it can also be a habit and actually loses its power to transform and becomes an obstacle in growth. So identifying our role with anger, I think that's very reflective of your friends. You either have hot-headed friends or you have friends that take the time to journal and go, wow, what am I so angry about? You have friends who are like, oh my God, you're so mad all the time. You're so sad. You're so angry. Well, that means that they probably have it within themselves. Right?
Totally. Yes. Yeah, it's a reflection for sure. And so for me, it's brought up a lot just within my marriage, how he handles anger versus me. And honestly, after 30 days of doing a morning practice for an hour, I don't have much anger.
Isn't that amazing what happens? I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's there.
Oh,
it's
for
there.
sure. Oh, for sure. Because as I was reading in that email that I received from Daily Ohm, it is a charge. It is a very helpful, productive energy. We don't want to not be angry. We want to use that anger to inspire us or to motivate us or to make a change in the world that we feel like that needs to be changed. And sometimes that change is even in ourselves. It's okay to be angry at yourself as long as it's, hey, what am I frustrated? Change the definition of the word. Am I angry because I'm not setting my habits? Well, sometimes that's just a projection of the ego. Okay, well, if I'm angry, I'm gonna spend time being angered rather than, well, change your habits then.
And not sitting in that energy, right? Like moving through the anger. I mean, punching a pillow, going for a run, like getting it out. You don't want to settle in it because it is a low density energy, right? And we really want, for me, especially in this time of my life, how can I stay in the high frequency vibrations? And anger really doesn't get me there. It's more about compassion and kindness to myself and to others. So,
what would be one of your quickest go-to, I got to organize my energy right now, breath work that we could take everybody through? Like a 3, we could do like a cosmic 3. I haven't done that yet. Or what would be your go-to quick, I've lost control of my emotions right now, I need to get them back? You have a recommendation?
I like the spinal twists.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that. Okay, let's do that. Let's do that for 90 seconds. Is that long enough? Do you want 2 minutes? What would be best for you, do you think?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. So let's do 2 minutes. I'm going to start, you start explaining what it is, and I'm going to get the stopwatch going.
Okay. So your left hand and your right hand go on top of your shoulder blades or top of your shoulders. And we're going to inhale to the left, exhale to the right. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your nose. You're really moving your torso and you're forcing the energy up the spine. And your eyes can be closed or gently open. And keep a strong spine.
Keep your elbows nice and high. Okay.
We're really influencing.
If you have a stuffy nose, I will tell people to go slowly or breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, like in an O shape. That's another option. If you can keep it into the nose, definitely it will help cleanse the nasal passages if you do it gently.
Clearing the auric field.
And the auric field is really that energy that walks into the room 2 seconds before we actually enter the room. We have less than a minute left. Keep it going. Feel that spine twist as far as you can on either side. So you're opening up the channels of, I call that the information highway, from tailbone to brain. Last 20 seconds or so. All right, inhale, both elbows up. Hold the breath. Exhale, keep the arms up. Inhale again, draw the energy up from the tailbone. Hold the breath up at the third eye. Squeeze the root lock. Draw the energy up the pelvic floor, squeeze the sexual organs. Exhale. One more time, draw the energy all the way up. Lift the arms straight up overhead. And then exhale down. Sit back as you can or sit up tall and just enjoy the sensations of the body, the juiciness of that breath work. Thank you, Sizzle. I would not have thought of that one this morning. And that really is, I call that a twofer. You're doing breath work and you're moving your body. That's a nice little warm up. So just process some of the things that we've been saying. Again, if you're not related to trying to start a family, are you trying to start a new section in your life? Are you trying to start the next chapter in your life? Are you trying to look at moving? Are you now becoming an empty nester? And it's the exact opposite. Just notice how you can apply some of today's concepts into your life. And one, I'll flutter my eyes open here. One habit that I wanted to mention that I was going to at the beginning, I forgot, is I have been around one or two people who've had a cold recently. And so part of my daily habit to avoid getting sick is I'll use a sinus blend, and I put that on a Q-tip right inside my own nasal passages. I would do a steam over that, or I have an immune boost oil that has tea tree, lavender, and eucalyptus in there, and putting that on the throat, over the adrenals. So I'm not sick, but it's a way of preventing my body from being sick. And I cannot express the power of these breath techniques and what that does to stabilize the immune system. Because what you're really doing is you're stabilizing your thought processes. And when your mind becomes stable, then your body can become stable. But when we get really active with the body, we get really active with the mind. So just enjoy that sensation right now. Take in all that you've learned today. Breathe in and breathe out. Maybe taking a sip of your tea, coffee, or water. Juice, whatever you have. And come back into the space. So, anything else that you would like to add? I'm so excited that you joined us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Sangha, again, it's so important. And I would rather have a small handful of people that I can really lean on, that really get me, that understand me, that I can completely be myself, than to have an entourage of people that make me feel popular. I would take that small handful of quality peeps any day.
Me too. And I'm so glad that you're doing this workshop, and that we're off to a good start this year. There's many workshops, and I'd like to encourage everyone to really think about, what habits honor them and what habits don't honor them, and write about that, dive into that.
Journaling is so important because it brings us, we're having to put into literal form the thoughts that go in our head. I think that's a great habit to have, journaling. When you're angry, when you're excited, but like that thing I was reading, I think getting angry and just journaling when you're mad, that was a habit that I developed in my first marriage. I started to watch, and I was only writing when I was frustrated. And I remember talking to a therapist about that and saying, this is now I'm just recording all the negativity of my life. And so I started to make a conscious choice of go write when you're excited, go write when you want to plan, go write when you feel creative. But I have to tell you that I didn't feel inspired. It's like when you're really happy and enjoying life, you're not sitting there taking shots and putting it up on Facebook. You're actually living life. And you look back at, oh, we forgot to take pictures. We had so much fun.
Exactly.
So that's interesting. I would definitely refer that to people. And astrology. So the next workshop that I'm doing in March is on astrology. Definitely one of my habits, and we'll talk a little bit about it tomorrow because it's our last day. But I do, like, we look at the weather forecast, I look at what's going on in the astrological world. Do we have a full moon? Do we have a new moon? Is Saturn sitting someplace? Is Mercury in retrograde? Is Venus in retrograde? What's going on in the sky no differently than what's happening with the seasons? If it's nonstop raining, you're going to see people that are more cloudy and crabby and low energy. When it's really sunny, and I mean, even people who work in the service industry, it'll tell you that tips are higher in restaurants when it's nice weather, and the tips are lower when it's not. We just all project this energy. So grab onto your community, make sure that they're reflecting what you want to reflect in life. And whether you're planning for a family, a new job, or a move, it's some of the same concepts. Sizzle, how can people get in touch with you if they wanted to reach out personally?
I'm on Instagram at Sizzle Loves. So SIZZLELOVES, Sizzle Loves. And I want to leave everyone with the affirmation: I choose to let go of fear, envy, and judgment. I choose to let go and live in peace.
Thank you for that. And let's end with the recovery prayer that Tommy has taught us.
Yes.
Sweet Spirit, thank you.
Thank you
for putting me in the places you want me to be, with the people you want me to be with, doing the things that you want me to do. Thank you for the joys and challenges of my life. Amen. Sat Nam. Namaste. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you. Remember to journal, sit with your story, feel that story until you are completely in tune with every detail and every feeling. Really get into that vibe. Thank you so much. And I will see everybody for our last day, day 7, mañana. Cheers. Namaste.